Yeah, and I've always heard the argument. Oh my goodness.
Lord, you okay?
Hang on, I'm
Do I need to
swallowing
call
something.
somebody?
No,
Uh-oh.
hang on a second.
Okay. Don't cut this out.
Holy crap.
Do you need was it a bug? Do you need a defibrillator? Are you having an episode?
Drinking some water. Hang on a second.
Okay.
My goodness. That was crazy.
Man.
That was
Are you okay?
Bubble voice on
Is it
steroids.
Is it your aorta?
Yeah, I think I'm a goner. Widowmaker. Welcome to a new episode of G&T. I'm Zane, and with me as always is Steve. What's going on, Steve?
What is up, buddy? It's always good to be here. Good to talk to you. Good to, get some things off your chest today. Talk some sports. Do what we do.
Do what we do. Yeah, it's always just a nice little reprieve from sort of the everyday stuff that we do. Tomorrow is Halloween, so my kids, actually my wife's family. The fuck am I talking about? Clax, delete the last 10 seconds of this. Gonna restart in 3, 2, 1. So my wife's school actually does a Halloween festival type thing the day before Halloween, typically, or right around there. And so this year it was today, this evening. So it's a deal where a bunch of kids in town, get to wear their costumes, and they're inside a high school, and all the clubs in the school have a booth kind of thing set up where you can take pictures or play a little game, and they all pass out candy. And so it's just I call it pre-Halloween. It's like a practice run for tomorrow.
It sounds riveting.
Oh man. It's like what do they do now? Churches and stuff, like the trunk or treat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's pretty similar,
but
the
kids are having fun.
That's all. That's all that matters. And they probably get, 20 or 25 pieces of candy, which, isn't a whole lot compared to what they're going to get tomorrow. Right.
Yeah.
But they at least get some stuff. And I've got a huge bone to pick with my kids because basically you just walk through the hallways, and they have it all laid out like a little maze type thing. And so my wife's, she's in charge of the drama team. So they've got a table, there's a Spanish club, there's, all the different clubs just have tables set up. And so it's kind of a fun thing, and they get some exposure to say, hey, when you get older, you can do these things at school. So it's kind of a fun little deal for them. So basically you walk up to a table and you say hi, and they give you candy, and some tables just have candy strewn about on the tables. Strewn about. I think that's the right word. I don't think strewn.
I think it's stroven.
Stroven. Yeah, I don't think strewn. I don't think strown's a word. So they'll have candy just on the table, and our kids will go up and they'll pick, what they want. It's usually a sucker or Starburst or whatever it is, and then they'll come back over to me and say they had Reese's peanut butter cups on the table. And I'm like, awesome. And they never grab them, so they know it's my favorite candy.
Yeah, and it's my favorite too. So they're just telling you, they're almost teasing you with this.
So for some reason, my kids claim to not like Reese's peanut butter cups, which I think is bullshit.
Blasphemous.
They have to like it. So, but they never grab it. And I'm always like, why aren't you grabbing the Reese's, man?
So you even tell them? You fucking hook that up here.
Yeah,
you're my go over there, and you can't go over there and rummage around on that table, but they sure as fuck can.
You're my supplier for these Reese's, man. Hook me up.
What are we even doing here? Why am I raising you if you're not kicking a little bit back to dad?
But I always tell them, like, don't worry about it because, like, tomorrow they're going to go to houses and they're just going to get the peanut butter cups.
Yeah.
And they know that whenever they bring them home, those go straight into my candy bag.
Yeah, I would do that too. I would go through and there would be stuff that they weren't real interested in. And for me, yeah, it's the peanut butter cups, but it's mostly just chocolate. Any kind of chocolate bars with shit in it and nuts in it, you know. So that's one of the few benefits of having children, for being honest.
It is, and honestly, my kids really don't seem to like chocolate as much as like the fruitier candies, like the Skittles, the Starburst, the Sour Patch Kids, stuff like that. So, which is great.
They're that age. Yeah, they're that age.
Which is great for me because, like you said, I get all the almonds the Mounds and Almond Joys and Snickers and all the stuff that I love. And I never, you never buy it for yourself. Like, you're never at the store and you're like, I should get some Almond Joys.
Yeah. Get a giant bag of Almond Joy. But we should, every now and then, you should just say, fuck it. I know it's not Halloween, but Daddy wants some candy.
Every few weeks, and this is true, I'll go to the store and just, I'll be buying food for the week. And typically it's mostly just stuff for the kids' lunches and dinners and things like that. Since we're in Colorado and we like to, get into a little bit of this and that. Every few weeks.
Unbelievable.
Every few weeks, I'll just buy big bags of like gummy bears and like sour Skittles.
All right. So you are doing it. You're doing it right there.
I mean, because, it's like when you have one, and if you don't go to bed within like an hour of like taking one, you just get a little bit hungry, but you don't want a meal.
Yeah.
You just want something a little bit sweet.
Oh, yeah. Sweet or kind of salty or something like that.
It's great.
Chips are my the bane of my existence, but they're so good. So good when you put them in your mouth.
What's your favorite kind of chip? I've got a favorite. An absolute number one, can't be touched favorite. Do you have one?
And I don't know that I do, honestly. Cheetos are pretty damn good.
They are. I've started liking those a little bit less as I get older. I don't know why. They're not my favorite anymore. But my number one, those Voodoo kettle chips.
Oh yeah, you like the kettle chips. Very crunchy.
And they got that like New Orleans seasoning on them. I don't know. You can't explain to anybody.
Yeah, lots of seasoning on it. It's like very in your face with the seasoning.
It's almost like a salt and vinegar type chip, but with a little bit kick there, and it just is so good. I'd eat those all day.
Yeah.
So your daughters are...
So I guess what we're saying is, why don't they give chips out at Halloween?
Because
for the bag,
We get like bags of pretzels and shit.
When we did Halloween,
who's giving out pretzels? I was giving out pretzels at Halloween. That's just give up.
Pretzels? Are they chocolate covered?
No, it's just like a bag of Utzes.
Man, screw those people.
Yeah, might as well give me a toothbrush.
You could use one. I've smelled your breath.
You're welcome.
But so this is what I'm sure this is what you are doing on Halloween. But we would go out. The kids now are old enough to where they go out with their group, with their friends, and they're gone all night. But we would go out with the littler kids and go house to house, and all the parents are there with their mug filled probably about half freaking way with, your liquor of choice. And
we did that with you guys one year when your kids were younger and my kids weren't born yet.
Yeah, you walked around that neighborhood. That was the neighborhood.
That was when Amy was pregnant.
Yeah,
that was that year.
Right. Yeah. So that's the only way to do it, and I hope you're doing that.
Well, of course we are. That's the only.
Okay.
I was going to ask you too. Like, do your girls, since they're teenagers now, do they still go out with their friends, like in trick or treat, or is it? They're too old and too cool now.
No. Katie's 16. Katie's 15. Abby's 13. And no, it's still a big night, and yeah, they're out, and they probably see kids their age out doing the same thing. but they still like to be scared, and they run around and laugh and all that kind of stuff.
They're old enough now where you don't even have to worry about them, though. You just set them free and say, be back by 9 or whatever time it is.
Yeah, as long as there's a pack of them, and they're also, both of them and their group of friends are very mature kids, luckily.
And
So,
their
and
cups
and
can
it's
only
freaking,
be a quarter full of whiskey, not a halfway full.
yeah, they seem pretty, they seem pretty wholesome, but who freaking knows? What the fuck was I about to say? Damn it, Zane. Thanks a lot. Flax,
You're welcome.
Cut the last 30 minutes out.
Yeah, let's just start this whole fucking thing over. I was gonna ask, so they still go out, they have fun with their group of friends. So did they have like costumes this year? Like they still get into it?
Yeah, but they're kind of snide teenager. We're not really doing costumes. All 4 of us are dressing up as something, ironically, maybe something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think it kind of evolves into once you get a little bit older. Like, like at my wife's school tonight, all the high school kids are dressed up, and I don't know like what half the kids are dressed as. If they're just dressed as like a random like princess or some, I don't know what it is. And I'm like, Amy, what is that costume? And she's like, I have no idea.
I mean, a lot of it is maybe memes, but TikTok and like, content producers that they like. That's the new stars, right? That's who they emulate.
Yeah, those kids are like so famous now for like doing dances and stuff on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever told you this, but there is a very popular influencer at Flower Mound Marcus, like worldwide, massive, millions and millions of followers. But she's in Katie's grade, and she's in some of Katie's classes, and Katie knows her. And yeah, she's just going to high school, and everybody there obviously knows her. She's making millions of dollars. Like
I was going to say, she probably makes more money than we do, right?
Yeah, millions.
By doing nothing. What's her like thing?
Katie said she's a little goofy, but she just has a real funny personality. And
is she like reviewing stuff or like dancing or talking or like?
Yeah, that's a question I probably should have asked, but I didn't. But they said at school she's obviously not quite like she is on TikTok. She's still very likable and everything, but very personable. And she's just kind of playing the role, and she talks about it some, but not too much. But yeah, pretty weird. So she went up to her. Katie and I went up to Texarkana to visit the family. And she's hanging out with her niece there at her birthday party, and she mentions that, and it's this massive freaking deals with these girls in Texarkana. They couldn't believe it until Katie showed us some pictures or whatever. But
that's so
different
wild.
world. I know.
And I'm younger than you are, but I still miss that whole generation of kids, I guess, that can come up and like be famous.
Yeah,
like on the internet. And I feel like I'm just getting so old and I can understand like the appeal, I guess, for kids to have kids their age that are doing stuff that's entertaining. That makes sense. I mean, it's like us watching sports, but it's just a world that it's hard for me to understand. Like, have you seen these Costco guys?
I keep hearing about that, but no, I don't really know what it is.
They go to like Costco and they like review products from like the food court.
Yeah,
and they say like boom or something. They either doom it or they boom it, and it's the dumbest thing. They were on like Jimmy Fallon, I think, this week, and I've seen like a 30-second clip of them, and I really hope that the dad isn't just like extorting the kids, or I don't know what the correct word is there, but. It just it's just the most mind-numbing content you could think of, and they've got tens of millions of followers online.
It'll probably be short-lived, right? It'll be the big thing for a couple of days, and then there's something new. I think I told you about my youngest daughter had her phone taken away because she had gotten in some trouble at home. Nothing big. She had something to do with her and her sister, but nothing, no big deal. But she lost her phone, so she's like hasn't had it in probably 3 weeks, and she's kind of out of the loop at school. She said these kids are singing this new TikTok song. She hasn't heard it, and she's like, "I'm not trying to hear all that. I'm not online right now." But even her, just by being out of without a phone for 3 weeks, she's out of the loop in some of the conversations at school. It's just so different. And these kids so many kids are, multi-millionaires now. And it's just this brand new revenue stream that has popped up in like the last 10 years. It's crazy. These kids wouldn't have that opportunity in any other sense 10 years ago, right?
Yeah. And I don't mean to say that like you and I aren't online or that I'm not online, because you almost have to be these days just to keep up with like anything that's going on. Because again, we've got families, we have stuff going on, so you can't just be by the TV, at night all day, every day watching or consuming everything. So you have to have your phone, and we're all guilty of it now. Yeah. Everyone likes to pretend that your kids can't be on the screens all day, and then the parents are on their phones whenever they're around their kids. And again, we're all guilty of it. It's something that just happens. And you try your best not to be on it, but you just have to be sometimes. So it definitely makes sense that, a 13-year-old girl would be, after 2 or 3 weeks, would be completely lost with anything. Because everything just goes so fast now.
Yeah, that's what I was saying about the Costco guys, is they'll be gone and in no time. It won't be entertaining anymore.
It'll be the Sam's Club guys next.
yeah, some ripoff of it, being like meta of what the Costco guys are doing, and because you can't just repeat it, you have to add to it. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it is. They're not too into it, but I think it's pretty mandatory that what's going on TikTok, the latest memes or songs or whatever it is.
You have to be, otherwise you're that weirdo who has got no friends.
Yeah, like us.
Yeah. That's why we talk to each other once a week.
Right. Yeah. Just into the void here.
Yeah, exactly. But I was going to mention my kids this year. So I think I've referenced it before on the podcast, but my kids play soccer at recess every day with like their friends, and my kids haven't ever played like organized soccer before. They play football, basketball, baseball. I think we're going to try and maybe get them set up for soccer next year, but it's one of those things where we try and not overlap anything. So like for the last 2 weeks, we've had football practice, and then immediately after is basketball practice, and it was like 2 weeks of that, and it's just too much just for me to do. 2 hours of practice is just, it's rough. So we try not to have any overlap, but they all seem to overlap by like that 1 or 2 weeks, which no big deal. It's fine. So anyway, they play soccer at recess. And so all their friends and my kids wear soccer uniforms to school every day. And so, and I know like 3 soccer players, right? I know Messi, Ronaldo, and Neymar. And there's probably a couple other ones that I'm familiar with, but I couldn't just like rattle off a dozen names. So my kids are wearing uniforms to school every day, and I have no idea who they are. So
they're not wearing their own uniforms. They're wearing famous players' uniforms.
Yeah, so they all have like the same, like Manchester City and Man United and Brazil and Arsenal and all these teams uniforms to school every day. So like, but that's what they wear. And again, it makes it easy, for shopping, because we don't have to worry about, are they going to like this shirt or these pants? It's like, oh, well, they want the soccer player's uniform. So they all wear those to school. And it's like, not just my 2 boys. There's like probably 6 or 7 kids who are wearing these things every day.
That's crazy.
And so this year they're going as 2 soccer players I have never heard of before. And I'm like, I don't know.
You don't even know.
Not tell you. And I was walking with them. Yeah,
they're into it. Like they're obviously not watching these soccer games. So
They
they're,
do a little bit.
but where are they getting to know these players?
I guess from their friends, who I guess must watch more than they do.
Yeah.
But they're pronouncing these names on the back of the uniforms. I'm like, how do you know how to pronounce that name?
So they are hearing that a lot somewhere. Like, do they have phones? They have phones in school?
No.
Okay. No. So they're not like watching their friends' phones and clips and all that. But that's interesting, man.
I don't think any of their friends have phones yet. They're all still 7.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your kids are pretty young.
I mean, my whole thought on phones is they're not going to be the first ones to have phones, and they won't be the last ones to have phones. They'll be somewhere in the middle. But until they complain about it, they're not going to get a phone. But so yeah, I have no idea. But they know all the English Premier League teams. They know all of like the big country teams. Like I said, like Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Spain, whatever it is. They know all the teams. It's wild. And that's just kind of like where their head's at right now. So they're going as that. And so it's actually like 35 degrees here today.
Wow.
And so tomorrow we're gonna do the whole trick-or-treating thing. And our neighborhood's one of the ones where people like drive into it to trick-or-treat because it's a newer neighborhood. There's kids everywhere. There's families everywhere. Most of the houses have decorations up. So it's just a pretty popular place for people to come, which I kind of don't like. I wish they would somehow shut that down and just have like, if you live here, you can trick or treat here. I'm a big NIMBY, not in my backyard. So I'm gonna put on a pair of like slacks tomorrow and wear like one of like the fancy like overcoats like you wear over a suit. I'm gonna wear that and like a driver cap. And I'm going to be a soccer manager tomorrow. I'm not a big costume guy, but I already have all that stuff, so I'm just going to wear that.
Gotta follow the kids' lead.
Absolutely. Plus, I'll be warm.
That's interesting. I mean, Premier League already has a major foothold in this country, obviously. I mean, a lot of people are really into soccer, and you'll see all the bars here open up in the mornings and before lunch, serving beer and people watching soccer and the themes there and everything. But it is interesting that if that's where they really want to get into, they want to get into those kids, especially 7-year-olds. And, to have them wearing the jerseys and pronouncing the players' names, that's got to be huge for those guys that are trying to push it in this country.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to talk negative about soccer at all. I think it's totally fine. I know that, our parents and people that are older than us have no desire to ever watch soccer, and even people our age don't care for it. But I grew up not watching it because it really wasn't available here when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I just, I was watching football and baseball, right?
I like it. I only watch it for the same way I watch the Olympics, and it's funny enough, I'm not like a nationalistic rah-rah go USA guy, but I do like the Olympics and I do like the World Cup. I like that people, for the players, it means so much playing for their team, and the fans are just going absolutely crazy for their country. And we can go deeper into all that, but I think being that dedicated to your country can be dangerous, but not when it's in a sports sense.
Yeah, I think the only 2 times I'm ever like pro US is Olympics and World Cup.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm always shitting on the US.
Yeah, fucking
for good reason.
Right. Moved up to Colorado, turned into a lib. The problem. Started hating on the US, became a Marxist.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if next Tuesday doesn't go the way we want it to go, we're looking at which is it? Ireland? Maybe Ireland? I don't know. But it's been talked about. So we'll see how that goes.
I mean, we may not have a podcast. We're the free press, and they could shut us down next Tuesday. This could be the last one. You
Yeah,
know they're coming after us.
Elon could reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know yet.
Stop.
So anyway, topics. World Series. You watching it all?
Not really. No. I mean,
Same.
I don't care about it. I just want the Yankees to lose. I don't care about the Dodgers winning.
Yeah,
You?
I know there's no, I want the Dodgers. I don't want either of those teams to win. I remember the narrative last year how people, and I think it was mostly like driven by Astros fans, but they were talking about how we like bought a World Series and they pulled up like the payroll and we're like in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Well, the Dodgers and Yankees are far and away 1 and 2 in payroll, and no one's talking about how they're buying a championship.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing, which, there's no rule against it. By all means, do what you need to do to win a championship. And if I had to pick between Dodgers and Yankees, like, give me Dodgers every day.
Exactly.
But did you see, so last night would have been Tuesday, the 29th, game 4. Did you see that play, the foul ball?
You know, I've heard a lot of talk about today, but I haven't seen the play, but it sounds pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, so Mookie Betts is in right field, and there's a foul ball. He jumps, over the wall, and it's a pretty tall wall. It's probably 6 or 7 feet in the air. And he jumps over it and catches the ball clearly, catches it. And there's 2 Yankees fans up there. And they're playing in New York. And so one of the Yankees fans grabs his glove, and then his friend, I guess, next to him starts reaching into the glove and pulls the ball out and throws it back on the field.
Yeah.
And those 2 guys got ejected from the game.
Yeah. They got ejected, which they should have. So the fallout after that, well, this wasn't really fallout, but they went to a bar and a camera crew shows up, finds him, tracks him down, and people are buying him drinks and they're partying, and these guys are kind of local celebrities now. They say that people are going to dress up as them for Halloween this year in New York. The Yankees come out and say, yeah, we kicked them out of the game, but they're season ticket holders and they're allowed to come back in for game 4, 5, whatever it is. Yeah. They're allowed to come back in for the next game. And the MLB basically jumps out and says, no, they are not. We got to worry about player safety, and you can't have fans doing that when guys jump up and into the stands. So yeah, the Yankees had to back down and come back and say, yeah, they're not going to be back this series and all that. So, yeah, powerhouse like the Yankees got slapped down by, corporate, basically.
That's good. They need to sometimes. Like every once in a while, things like that need to get, slapped down a little bit. But I heard today that one of the guys involved in the stands was roommates with Rob Gronkowski in college.
Of course he was.
I don't know if that's true or like how. I don't know if he played football. Like I don't know exactly how they knew each other, but apparently one of them was Gronkowski's roommate.
I would bet good money that those 2 crushed a beer can on their forehead sometime together.
Probably crushed a keg together. Just 2 of them. Those meatheads. Are you kidding me? But anyway,
okay, so college. Let's go to college football. Game of the week was probably A&M coming back from a 10-point halftime deficit and beating LSU and moving on as the only undefeated team in the SEC.
I think they have to go to Reed as a quarterback at A&M.
Yeah,
I think he's better. I think he gives them more chances at bigger plays. I'm not saying it's like an Arch Manning, Quinn Ewers type situation, but I think Reed gives them a better chance at winning games, especially when they were down by 10, like you said. And then, LSU missed 2 field goals, which might have actually ended the game by halftime. I just don't see how you can't start him going forward because they have a chance to, like you said, they're undefeated in the SEC. They could win the SEC if he's a starter, in my opinion.
Yeah, so they've already benched Wegman twice. This is your starter coming into the year, and this is your 5-star. This is the franchise. So it's going to be weird to go back to him again, but they might if they have to. But yeah, Reed, he's the running threat, and he, he only threw 2 passes the other night. He was 2 for 2. And on the season, his completion percentage is right around 50%. But, you can deal with a little lower percentage when you add that running threat.
Yeah.
I think as it goes, though, I mean, if teams can, if they can scheme for just him, knowing that he's going to be there, with a running threat only, he can't throw the ball, though. That's what we're going to see. Teams are going to test him. They're going to make him throw the ball. And let's see how that goes. But
and I know
I
know like some kids like just don't have the ability to throw the ball as well as other guys do. But
like
I mean,
Anthony Richardson.
Oh my, benched. But like these guys, I mean, they've grown up throwing a ball since they were my kids' age, and they do all the 7-on-7s, and they all ran spread offenses in high school.
Right.
Like they can. You can figure it out. Like I could throw a football in high school, and I was not an athlete. These guys, they got to figure it out.
They got to figure it out, but can they do that? Can you have accuracy at the college level? Is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
and that's a it's a tough go for some kids.
Yeah, and I try and explain it sometimes to people who don't watch football a bunch or not as much as like I do. So like to Amy, for example. Like the difference between throwing a ball between like college and the NFL are those anticipation throws, where in college you're going to have a guy run a 10-yard out route and he's going to get 4-yard separation because he's just quicker or something, and you can wait until he's out of his break and then still make a throw. Whereas in the NFL, as soon as that guy's at the top of his route, the ball's out of your hand and it's going to a spot, and that guy better be there.
He has to get it to the sideline to have the strength to throw it out.
It's not as important in college, but it's still important. So I guess we'll just see if he can develop at all. But I did want to talk about. So I know I've kind of been not super happy with all the transfer portal stuff and all the things, but I really have enjoyed this year and with the 12-team playoff because there's really not just a handful of great teams this year.
Yes, it is definitely leveled the field.
I love it. It's more like the NFL now, where it's just, you've got some good teams. Like the top 10, like they're good teams. Outside of like Oregon, maybe Ohio State has already lost a game, maybe Penn State. I know Georgia beat Texas, but I don't think they're great teams. I don't think Oregon's that great, to be honest with you either.
They still have lots of questions. They do. And Ohio State is having trouble running the ball.
And I think is it Penn State, Ohio State? Is that this week?
Yeah. So that's a pretty big one.
So it's just a lot of fun to see. Like I know parity sometimes can like ruin sports, and the NFL kind of gets a little bit stale because there's so many teams in the middle. But some of those teams in the middle can still make the playoffs and just go on a run.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to open it up and make it more fun.
Yes, it is. And The Athletic had an article the other day where they laid out I think it was 32 teams that still have at least a realistic shot of making the playoffs. Pittsburgh's in there. Those sort of teams are undefeated and they still have that shot. But so that means there's 32 games this upcoming weekend that are important to somebody, right? Those games will keep getting pared down as we go through the season, but the last 2 weeks of the year, which are usually just, which of these 5 teams are going to make it into their conference championship games, and that's the point of that week. Now those weeks, there's going to be 12, 15, 20 games per week with implications, too. It's going to be so badass. And that doesn't even get into the playoffs, which those games are going to be incredible. Those matchups when we have like 4 college football playoff games in a weekend of powerhouses, huge improvement in the sport. And I think the people that were bitching about it before the season, I don't think they're going to be able to deny it much longer.
But no, everyone always talked about how, because there's always the college football people and the NFL people, and they have their reasons for liking both. And, we're a pretty good microcosm of that, where you're more college, I'm more NFL based. But everybody who's just been, college forever always said that if we open up the playoffs to more teams and we do this and allow this, it's going to make it so that the regular season games, they don't matter as much anymore as they used to. Well, who gives a fuck about the regular season anyway? All we care about is the playoffs and who wins the championship. So, I want all my teams, or not my teams, but I want all the teams to have some losses and have some challenges throughout the season and still have the ability to come back throughout the season and win games and make the playoff. So I think, the argument does make a little bit of sense where they're not as important, but...
Well, they're not as important to this strange standard that we said. Like, if you're not undefeated, you probably shouldn't be in the game, in the playoffs. And that's just a weird freaking standard to hold things up to, when you could have this system that we have in place now, where there's, like I said, there's going to be 20, 25 games that matter those last 2 weeks of the season. So how that's not, and then you go into your playoffs. So how that's not better than this purity standpoint that we had, where, again, if you're not undefeated, then what are you even doing? Was it UCF a few years ago that went undefeated and didn't get to go to the playoff or whatever? I think Cincinnati, maybe. Was it Cincinnati?
I want to say it was UCF, and they got rings made saying they were national champs because they didn't lose a game. And it's do you want to see 12-0 UCF in the Final Four, or do you want to see 11-1 Alabama in the Final Four?
Right.
And everyone is picking Alabama.
Yeah, but at least there'll be one, group of 5 school that's going to get a shot. We know at least one's going to be in there, and this year could very well be Boise State and Genty, the running back.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to get, I think, Boise State. I don't see a loss on their schedule. And the only reason I know their schedule is because Mountain West and, CSU. I really wish they were coming to CSU this year, because that'd be a really fun game to go to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But they're not. And I think Boise might be going to the Pac-12. I can't remember exactly, but I think that they might be. And if they are, that's awesome, because I don't know what year Genty is, but if he's a junior this year, then he's probably going to go to the NFL next year anyway. But
dude, before the season started, he was the number 1 running back in the NFL, and like a high pick, like a Adrian Peterson, Saquon kind of pick.
That dude is. I mean, the Heisman is him and Travis Hunter, and I think you can make an argument either way. And I'm not going to, I don't care who you pick either way, because Travis Hunter is doing things that we haven't seen in college football ever, or at least in a long time. Yeah. And Genty's the best running back we've seen in college football for a decade, probably. Yeah. He's incredible. He had his worst game of the season last week and ran for $150 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The Cowboys haven't had a running back run for $150 all year.
So the Cowboys, another longest run of the season, I think, is 13 yards. So every other team in the NFL has had to run at least 30 yards, and the Cowboys is 13.
We're not good.
Are you getting that from this season?
We're just not good. And I know we talked about Jerry last week and how the fans are just finally turning on him. But after last week's game, I mean, we were up early, and we were pretty much dominating that game early on, which was weird. I mean, I know that San Fran's got a bunch of injuries, but the Cowboys they looked decent.
They were playing pretty well.
And I think I saw something or heard something today where have the Cowboys not scored a touchdown in the third quarter of this season?
That would not surprise me at all because they have got their ass kicked coming out of halftime all season.
Either we haven't scored a touchdown or we've scored the least amount of touchdowns, or there's some stat about the third quarter for the Cowboys where it's just, or maybe it's like the biggest like point differential or whatever it is. It's not good. And nothing's going to change. And I'm tired of us winning a coin flip and taking the ball. Like I know the first, 12 to 15 plays are scripted and they should work. They don't for us. And then if they don't work and we're punting, well, then you know what? We're probably fucked and behind the chains the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get the ball and get it to Zeke, though, dog. You have a weapon like that. You don't fucking kick it off and wait until midway through the first quarter. You get the ball and you give it to Zeke. You let him eat.
Dude, if our running backs, if this was like 2018, we have the best running backs in the league. Dalvin Cook,
dude.
Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, come on.
Right?
We'd be running for 250 a game. You could play quarterback for the Cowboys with those two running backs. Just run a wishbone.
Yeah, obviously. Get I'm trying to think of a running quarterback from that time period. Get him in here.
Quincy Carter could run this offense.
So my favorite stat, I love these little stats like this. My favorite current stat of the Cowboys is 4 times this year they've allowed 180 yards rushing and 30 points or more, right? 180 yards, 30 points or more. That's happened other times in the NFL this year, and they're all different teams. So 6 teams have all done it once, and the Cowboys have done it 4 times. It's like historical, right? It's like one of the worst run defenses in the history. I think it's there's 2 other seasons that compare to this. One was the first season of the Cowboys, the franchise year, and another one I think was in the 80s or something like that. And then you look at the other side, the running game, and like I said, they're the longest run of the years for 13 yards. They have the worst skill position players in the league. They have Lamb, and that's it. And it's just such a disaster.
Man, I'm watching the game on Sunday night, and did you see the interception on the sideline that Dak threw? He's throwing the ball to CD.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the ball comes out, I'm like horrified because I know what's going to happen. And so I always tell Amy this too. Like you can tell when a quarterback knows he's going to throw a touchdown pass from like a little bit of distance. So say they're on like the 15 or 20, and the quarterback's in shotgun, he gets the ball. And if you ever watch a quarterback in the pocket, and all of a sudden his shoulders kind of just like drop down a little bit, he kind of relaxes. And then throws the ball into the end zone, it's usually a touchdown because they're just so relaxed and they know they've got it. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And so when Dak was rolling to the left and then should have just thrown the ball out of bounds, he throws the ball right to the 49er cornerback, right in front of it. And you're like, do you not see him there? Did you think you're going to throw it over him? Like, what was your thought process there? And I'm not... Again, I always defend Dak when people are trying to hate on him. I like to attack him sometimes when I can, because sometimes he just makes those mental mistakes where you just go, what are you thinking here? And I know he's technically he's the highest paid player in the league per season or whatever it is. And in the next 3 or 4 years, he'll be 15th just because that's the way quarterback contracts go. But I don't think he's the guy, and I don't think he's ever going to be the guy. I think if Dak was on, I don't know, the Niners or the Bills or the Lions, somebody like that, I think he'd probably win more. Well, I mean, not win more games. They've won 12 games 3 years in a row, but like maybe more playoff games, maybe do something. But
would he be the guy though? Because I mean, he's shown here that he hasn't been able to win in big games. So again, is it chicken or egg theory? Like, obviously this year he has been bad, but worst running back room in the entire league. The offensive line has been a huge disappointment. Zach Martin is not what he used to be. The two rookies are rookies. Tyron Steele has been bad. Like I said, you've got one wide receiver, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anybody else. Ferguson, I guess. But it's just a terrible situation for a quarterback to thrive in. But again, also, Dak has been bad. And he doesn't run anymore, man. That was such a big weapon for him.
His rushing yards in Vegas on Sunday was over under 7.5.
Yeah, God. Yeah, that was a big
under
part of
hit
his game. That was a big part of why we thought he was who he was when he was really rolling.
He's not a running quarterback per se, but if he gets in trouble, he has the ability to actually scramble and get some positive yardage. You know, I think a lot of times with certain quarterbacks, people think, oh, well, he's, is what he is. I'm not going to say the word, but they can run. And he's not a running quarterback, but he can make positive yards on a play that gets, broken or something. But not anymore.
Yeah. No. Those quarterbacks can get you like 30, 40 yards a game. It makes a big difference, man. It keeps a couple drives alive. It makes a huge difference in winning. But no, that is no longer a part of his game. Yeah. We can do this shit every week. Just hopeless.
So you say he's not the guy. So I'm gonna. This is the rapid fire segment presented this week by my bank account. Dak or Tua.
Like, what are we talking about here?
You put Dak. You put Dak on that team as they are currently constructed.
Yeah, Miami.
So, would you take Dak or Tua?
I wouldn't want Tua in Dallas, but I think I would want Dak in Miami.
That's what I'm asking. So it's going to be, when I ask you, it's going to be, put Dak on Miami's roster right now. Would you rather have Dak or Tua as your quarterback on that team?
I think Dak.
Dak or Russell Wilson?
Yeah, Dak.
Dak or Bo Nix?
I mean, Dak. Dak is better in all those situations right now.
Which is weird. Dak or Jared Goff?
Oh, come on. Goff's a fucking man right now.
Concave chest.
Concave chest is way ahead of Dak now. Yeah, Goff is killing it. He's got everything you need. He's got a running game. He has weapons everywhere. And he's playing really well. Maybe that's not such a coincidence.
Dak or Baker Mayfield?
I mean, Baker. Baker's got the swagger right now.
Dak or Kyler Murray?
Dak. All day. Again, what I'm thinking here is I'm putting Dak in on those teams.
Exactly right.
Talking about.
Okay,
yeah. Right. No, that's... Yeah. No, Kyler is not anywhere close good as Dak is.
Two more.
But, yeah.
Dak or Purdy?
Purdy.
Dak or Geno Smith?
Yeah, I think Geno's probably better. Good there.
Bonus round.
Mm-hmm.
Dak or Stafford?
Stafford, where they're at right now. What about? All right, I'll give you one. Dak or Mahomes?
This year, probably Dak.
Yeah, no. I was trying to make a joke, but then I was like, well, Mahomes hasn't really done that much.
Mahomes is a below average quarterback this year.
Yeah.
They're the only undefeated team in the NFL.
But then he does that thing where he like squirts out of a couple tackles and jumps around and spins and throws first downs like easily when his guys are open. So, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Cowboys schedule right now. The Cowboys are 3-4. Okay? How many games have they won at home this year?
The Cowboys have won 3 road games this year. I do know that, which is kind of impressive.
So they're 3-4, which means how many games have they won at home this year?
That would be a big 0.
They've won 0 games at home. And that's what pisses me off the most, is that I don't know where their game is on Sunday. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Where's their schedule here?
It's in Atlanta.
It's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, the Eagles come to town, so that's going to be a sellout. But so the Cowboys are 3-4. There's a decent chance they lose to the Falcons this weekend. So let's say they're 3-5 against the Eagles. The stadium's going to be sold out on the 10th of November, and no matter what they do, it'll be sold out every week. And that's the thing that still just pisses me off. I don't want to get into Jerry talk too much again since we did it last week, but it just all he cares about, it seems like, is the money, and he's mean to reporters. And then you've got, Trayvon Diggs, coming out of the locker room fully dressed, ripping a reporter last week after they lost, because there's that video of him just like lollygagging on the field. And
they made up today. There was a PR
I heard
event.
that.
Yeah. So they made up today.
But it's a circus out there.
Not good. I'm starting to think it's not good. Starting to think, this could be better.
After 30 years, I finally think it may not be good.
Yeah, I'm starting to round into that same opinion. I might need another 5 years or so to test my hypothesis, but it doesn't seem good.
And we're those abusive, we're in those abusive relationships as wives. We just get beat every day, and we just take it because we don't know any better.
Actually, I'm a fan. I'm not a fan, so this is just my soap opera. I kind of dig it. I mean, it's frustrating, and I'm frustrated for my friends who are Cowboys fans. But doesn't matter to me. I like to see them win, and I like to see them lose.
I mean, you've gone through this as a UT fan, though, for the last 20 years.
Oh, I know what it's all about. I absolutely know what it's all about. As far as the Cowboys, I know. I think it's kind of funny. And kind of sad.
There's a song about that.
Is it a country song?
No, I don't know. I don't think it's kind of funny. I think it's kind of sad. Some mad world, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, you are the music aficionado, Zane.
I couldn't name like 3 fucking bands going right now.
All right, man. Let's wrap it up for the week.
I got one last story real quick.
Okay.
Quick one. I got an email from my HOA tonight. And I hate HOAs. It's not a me thing at all. But I got an email from the HOA. And
real quick, you've heard this, that a Karen is just a Karen, but a herd of Karens is an HOA.
I want to get a BB gun and shoot this little van that drives around the neighborhood, taking pictures of houses with like violations, and just like shoot a window out, just to
that's the little power that they have to hold on to, and they can hold their power over people, make them do things, and make them pay fines.
Yeah, I just want to have a little like warning shot across the bow. Like, hey, fuck out of my front yard, you bitch. But I got an email, and it said, so we have like 2 entrances into our neighborhood, and there's one like main one that people use. So we got an email that said, hey, the city approved, if we want to, we can install speed bumps on the main road into our neighborhood. We need to get 55 signatures, but where the speed bumps are going to be placed are going to be in front of these like 8 houses or whatever, so they all have to be yeses. But if they all say yes, we have to get 55 signatures of residents. So can you all please sign this petition? And look, I'm all about safety. There's kids everywhere in our neighborhood. I want them to be safe. I've never seen a car like speeding in our neighborhood. I don't give a fuck. I hate speed bumps in the first place. You're driving through like a Lowe's parking lot, and your car is like bouncing up and down. So I almost replied an email and said, fuck no, I'm out. But then I thought, if I send this email, they're probably gonna come and find me for something that I've done in my yard.
Right. They'll be petty about it.
Yeah, so I thought better of it and was like, I won't send anything. thing, but I'm pissed off and I don't want them to do it. So I'm not signing no petition for speed bumps.
Hell yeah. Fight it, man. Don't need no government up in your neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm liberal enough. I don't need to go even further,
Right.
All right, well, good episode. Thanks for the time. Not really a pleasure, but it's always at least somewhat nice to talk to you once a week. So everybody, again, thanks for listening. As always, like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
See you next week, guys.